What is up, guys? EJ here, aka PuckBond007, and welcome to the Movie Reviewers 100, this great collaboration channel on YouTube and Facebook that I'm proud to be a part of. So this week is Best Buddies Week, a theme that was requested by Mr. Harry Benson. His YouTube name is Maca Photos, so thank you to him for suggesting this week. Alan kicked off the week yesterday with the Sylvester Stallone film, Bullet to the Head. I wasn't a huge fan of that film, to be honest, but it was okay. I'm kind of tired of Stallone in films like that. He's just kind of too old to do that kind of stuff. He's pretty good in it, actually. But the film I'm going to talk about today, if you don't know, it should be obvious by the saying on my shirt, because it appears in the movie and is worn by one of the characters, and that is the 1984 teen comedy college classic, Revenge of the Nerds, directed by Jeff Canoe and starring Robert Carradine and Anthony Edwards as Lewis and Gilbert, two nerds heading off to Adams College for the first time. I've seen this film a number of times. Me and my stoner friends used to watch it a lot when I was younger, and I noticed something different like pretty much every time I see this film, and I noticed something again when I watched it yesterday. It's just a really fun film. It's about the underdogs. Of course, Lewis and Gilbert, two nerds who go off to college. I love Lewis's father is played by James Cromwell, who's also a nerd himself, and he drives him to school. But he's actually billed as Jamie Cromwell. I don't think he was well known at the time, and so obviously we all know him now as James Cromwell. Very fine actor, in fact. He's really funny as the dad at the beginning. Drives these two guys in the station wagon off to Adams College, has the best computer department in the country, and gives the two guys a sort of little pep talk before he sends them on their way. Of course, right away as they're walking to the freshman dorm, they are met with derision by the jocks, the Alpha Beta House. They're having a big party, and the great ogre, played by Donald Gibb, sees these two nerds carrying their stuff to the dorm room and starts chanting, "Nerds, nerds, nerds." Donald Gibb, of course, if you're a action fan, you probably know him best from Bloodsport. He plays, I believe, Ray King in that film. Yeah, really big giant guy, Donald Gibb. Very funny as ogre in this movie. And the sort of head jock, the quarterback of the football team, is played by Ted McGinley. He plays Stan Gable. Ted McGinley is best known for his work on Married with Children as Jefferson Darcy, Marcy's second husband on that show. Hilarious on that show. I love him on that show, and he's really fun in this film as well as the jock, the head of the school. Basically, got the hot cheerleader girlfriend, Betty Childs, in this film. So yeah, they met with derision right away, and then during one of the Alpha Beta's parties, they always have awesome party scenes in this film. This is why a big reason me and my friends watched it a lot. The party scenes in this movie are just, they're out of control. There's just so much beer flowing at one of these parties. They're diving off stairs into a pool of beer at one point, and then during one of their parties they accidentally burn down their frat house. So the coach of the football team is played by the great John Goodman. He plays Coach Harris. Very funny as a coach. Tells him, well, just go ahead and live in the freshman dorms. So they run over and kick all the freshmen out, all these guys, and they have to go spend the night in the gymnasium, basically, while basketball practice is going on. And that's where we meet all the other nerds that are in this film. You've got, of course, Curtis Armstrong, who plays Booger. Booger is the one who wears this shirt. Booger is probably my favorite character. he has all the best lines in this movie. You've got Takashi, you've got Lamar Luttrell, you've got Wormser, Poindexter, played by Timothy Busfield. Good actor. He's appeared in lots of things since he did Nerds. And the reason why I chose this film is as a buddy movie. It's because of Lewis and Gilbert and their friendship and them overcoming the obstacles in this film. Of course, there's a back and forth between the nerds and the jocks and the pies, the sorority, the hot sorority where Betty Grable is. Yeah, they just go back and forth playing pranks on each other. The nerds do a penny raid on the pies, and then they spike the jocks with liquid heat during football practice to get back at them for like basically making fun of them and stuff, and all kinds of crap basically. They send them over to initiate in the rush week for joining a fraternity, and they get pranked on that. Very funny scene. And then of course the film sort of ends with this big competition between the sororities and the fraternities. They team up, and the winner of the competition is going to be the leader of the Greek council. Can't say council. Yeah, because the nerds are trying to get their new fraternity approved by the Greek council. Can't say that word. They of course join the chapter of the Trilams, Lambda Lambda Lambda, which is basically an all African American fraternity, which is really funny. It brings in these two African Americans. They throw this big party that's a dud at first, and then they invite over all the Omega Moos, the ugly fat chicks, if you like, who are friends of the girl that Anthony Edwards' character, Gilbert, ends up sort of hooking up with this girl who plays Judy, plays the accordion and stuff. He meets her in a computer class. Yeah, so they have this big party. It's kind of a dud. Everybody's just sitting around looking very sad. Nobody's talking, nobody's dancing. And then Booger, he suggests Wonder Joints. So they all get high and everybody has a good time at this party. It's a really fun scene. I love that scene. Yeah, like I said, Booger is my favorite character. I love when he's teaching Takashi how to play poker. I think I have a flush. What the fuck is a flush? Well, I have 2 7s, and that beats a flush. That's one of my favorite lines from Revenge of the Nerds. You've got Hair Pie, of course, famous quote from him. I love when they walk into the house that they fix up. They end up fixing up, and there's cobwebs everywhere, and he says, "Welcome." He says it a lot better than that. This is really sort of this great horror gothic voice that he says it in, as he like clears the cobwebs out of the way. Yeah, Curtis Armstrong is great in this. Robert Carradine is great as well. Of course, the film ends with the big finale. You have the charity booth, and then the sort of singing competition, music and dance competition. The jocks have this kissing booth, while the nerds are selling just whipped cream pies, basically, but it has a naked picture of one of the sorority girls in the bottom of the pie, and that's why they're winning and doing so well. And then of course Betty Grable, she hooks up with Lewis, mistakes him for Stan Gable at one point. They end up having sex and they hook up. She falls in love with him. Yeah, and then the music scene, the jocks, they do this sort of reverse where the girls are dressed up as football players and the guys are dressed up as cheerleaders. They probably do it every year, every season, and get away with it. What I noticed new about this viewing is they have a score behind them, and it has their score is 69, and the nerds and the Omega Moose score is 0. I thought it's funny that it was 69-0 in the scoreboard of like the quote football match during their skit. And then you have the great musical skit by the nerds. This great sort of high tech, weird mashup of rapping and dancing. There's a gong. Um, Lewis and Gilbert are on like computer things, keyboard things, um, and then you've got a Booger dressed up as Elvis playing the guitar. So yeah, they end up crushing it at the big finale, and then they win the Greek Council, and then the Jocks go ahead and trash their house, and things get a little bit out of hand, and then you have the big speeches at the end about being a nerd and everybody coming down to join them in this sort of show of solidarity. If you're a geek or a nerd or a dweeb or whatever, there's the big speech at the end, which is really nice. It's always very cool when I see that moment. I love the guy who plays the dean as well, David Wall. He has some great moments opposite John Goodman, the coach. Very funny. The music from this film is great. It's got some great 80s tracks from the likes of Oingo Boingo and Talking Heads. In fact, I have the soundtrack on hand. Revenge of the Nerds soundtrack. Of course, it spawned a bunch of sequels, at least 3 or 4 that I know of. I've seen the second one, and I've seen, I think, the third or fourth one. But the sequels are crap for Revenge of the Nerds. Not really worth watching. But the original is still a comedy classic in my opinion. And it's about the two buddies, in this case for this week. Lewis and Gilbert, played by Robert Carradine and Anthony Edwards, who of course went on to big stardom on ER and other stuff. Yeah, now they have a new show on TBS, King of the Nerds, that's hosted by Robert Carradine and Curtis Armstrong. I've seen a couple episodes here and there, and just in passing, late night. Sort of nerd chic is very cool at the moment. And this film is sort of really one of the first to sort of bring it to light that these guys are just like everybody else. I also love the quote after Lewis hooks up with the girl. She asks him if all nerds as good as you in bed, and he says, yes, because all nerds or jocks think about is sports, and all we think about is sex. That's a cool line from this movie. Yeah, it's a fun movie. I laugh every time I watch it. So many great funny moments, great funny dialogue, and just a bunch of really cool and funny characters. Revenge of the Nerds from 1984. So that is my choice for this week. Make sure you check out all the other videos from the guys this week. Again, the week requested by Harry Benson. So thank you for watching as always, and until next time, I'll see you.
Bond. James Bond.